7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You Aztlan, this is Chicle, and this is the first episode of the Chicle Show. We're going to throw a little bit of everything out there and see what sticks. And so we're going to start with Cuitlahuac. We just celebrated Cuitlahuac Day here, July 1st. The celebration is the Noche, the victorious night, the kicking the butt of the enslaver colonizers, Cortez. So Cuitlahuac came. Moctezuma was, in my opinion, he was sick from smallpox. No one really knows what happened, but it was already decided that he was unfit to rule. So Cuitlahuac was, elected the new Tlatoani, or appointed the new Tlatoani, and he attacked. And they had the Spaniards trapped inside Tenochtitlan, and the Spaniards made their escape and were just decimated, really. And Cortez, fled with his life, a few men. And when he got back to Tlaxcala, he could have been, just executed for being, for starting all that trouble with them and everything. But he was greeted as a hero. And, the Tlaxcalans recognized their new position, and told him, you messed up, right? Yeah. He said, it wasn't as easy as you thought, right? Yeah. Well, here's our new terms. And the Tlaxcalans, they renegotiated with the Spaniards. And that's not, a lot of people don't know that they renegotiated with the Spaniards for a better deal. And one of the things that the Tlaxcalans wanted was to rule, autonomous rule over all the Chichimec lands. So when we talk about who the Chichimeca are and where the Chichimec lands are and Spanish land grants and things like that, we're talking about the Tlaxcalans and the Tlaxcalan nobility that rose to power with the defeat of the Mexica. So Cuitlahuac, he ruled for about 88 days, and when he died of smallpox, Cuauhtemoc became the final Tlatoani and was executed by Cortez down in, I believe, in Honduras. That's for a different show. We're talking about Cuitlahuac now. So yeah, so the Tlaxcalans, they renegotiated the terms with the Europeans, and for about 300 years, the Tlaxcalans ruled over the Chichimeca lands, and they had semi-autonomous rule over their area, and they chose to intermarry with the Spaniards and change. And so that's one thing there. Now we go into Tlaxcala. What is Tlaxcala? One of the things about Tlaxcala is it's landlocked. And Tlaxcala, the Tlachtlis are bowls, are reservoirs for collecting water. And the Tlachtlis are found all throughout the Southwest. And that's what the Chichimeca lands. And so the Tlachtli courts, where we play the ball courts, are reservoirs. And the Tlaxcala is, a place where you're going to find a lot of those reservoirs, because they used to have to harvest their water because they were landlocked. And I believe partly because of the Mexica. So that, that's what we're doing here. A little bit of everything on the Chicle Show. First episode. Cuba, what's up? So we're just, talking, throwing everything out there, see what sticks. We were talking about Cuitlahuac. We just celebrated Cuitlahuac Day here, July 1st. Kicking the butt of the Spaniards, the enslaver, colonizers, whatever you want to call them. Pirates. Everybody can celebrate that, that the defeat of these enslavers on that day. But so the Tlaxcalans renegotiated for more favorable terms and had semi-autonomous rule over Chichimeca, over their territory, Chichimeca lands, for about 300 years until the Americans came in. So when we talk about Spanish land grants, they're talking about the deal that was made between Tlaxcala and Spain. So so that's we talk about Cuitlahuac, Tlaxcala. So now we're going into talking about Chicanos. Again, this is the Chicle Show. So, one of the things that's talked when we talk about Chicanos, the people that say that it comes from Mexicano, right, and comes from Mexica. At the heart of here, I say at the heart of Mexica and Mexicano and Chicano, at the heart of all that is Chicle. Uh, Chicle, we know that Mexico means is Chicle in the middle of that, but Chicle it has a more of a meaning than just gum. Chicle means, when in terms of people, Chicle is different people that stick together like family, right? So when we talk about Chicle, when we talk about Chicanos, when we talk about the Mexica, we're talking about people who were stuck together, right? Different people that were stuck together, okay? And that, burn some people's asses. Talk about these mixed groups and everything like that. We're not talking about Europeans at that time, but we are talking about different cultures that were brought together, that were stuck together. And you see this in chicle is a real common term, among the real Chicanos. So we talk about like the Chicanos. Everybody's talking about what Chicano is, Mexican American or whatever. All Mexican Americans aren't Chicanos, and I don't believe that all Chicanos are Mexican American, and I don't believe that Chicanos were Mexican American until after the imposition of the borders. So something that's going on at the same time as the immigration hysteria along the southern border of the United States, with the U.S. Mexico border, was the banning of pantlach up in British Columbia. So you had these migrations of people going up for the salmon runs, and recently we started talking about the Athabascan connection to the Mexica. And if you look at the Athabascan method of smoking salmon, and it's where they cut it and flip it over, and so we'll go into that here next. So now we're talking about Chicanos. Being chicle. Chicle is a real common term meaning different people that stick together like family. You hear it a lot when you call someone primo, tío, tía, and they're not really blood relatives, but they're around so much, like chicle, they're stuck to you, that they're like family, and you call them family, and you'll defend them like family, whether they're blood or not, and they could be black, white, they can be Asian, and you defend them as such. And if people don't like that about Chicanos, well, ni modo. But yeah, that's what we're talking about here. So we're talking about the Chicano, at the heart of Chicano being Chicle. Chicle is a real common term for in the neighborhoods with the in the barrios. A real common term for people that stick together, Chicle. And at the heart, and it's that's the root of Mexica. The Mexica were different groups that were stuck together. It's obvious in the codices. They were all representing different clans or whatever, and they were all stuck together. They had all their belongings on their back. Everything was together. And so that's what we're talking about here. Just doing some things differently here. Talking about different things. We talked about Cuitlahuac and Tlaxcala. We talked about the Chicanos. We talked about Aztlan. So real touchy subject nowadays. I don't know why, pero Aztlan. You have to really research it. More. Everybody says the southwestern thing, which is originally where I was looking. Also, Vancouver Island is almost identical to the drawings in the codices of Aztlan, and the stories up there are just really bookend the migration of the Mexica. When you listen to the stories out of British Columbia, or so-called British Columbia, and then you hear the stories of the Mexica, and you see the codices of the Mexica, I mean, they fit together like a glove. Huitzilopochtli, I think there's evidence that Huitzilopochtli represents the salmon, and the Chicanos are people of the salmon. The Mexica are people of the salmon, and are Atapascan, and the Virgen Guadalupe is Atapascan is represents the method of smoking salmon. And I'll talk to you here. We'll go into that here. Real controversial as I brought it up. I won't, show the image of the Virgen again, but if you look at Juan Diego Cuauhtlatoli in Nahuatl, which was a title, not his name. It was actually a title of actual ruler that lived there in around Mexico, Tenochtitlan. And when you look at he's looking at the tilma, he's looking at it like this, right? He's looking down at his tilma. So what's down is up. And so if you look at the Atapascan method of filleting salmon, they slice the salmon, they keep the tail intact, they flip it over, and then they hang it. And so if you look here, where we here you see the at the on the very end right there, that is supposed to be the constellation in the sky. I say when you look at it this way, it is the method of hanging the salmon, to dry the salmon and to smoke the salmon. That's the racks that they hang the salmon on. And so if you ever looked at the bottom of the Virgen de Guadalupe and you see what looks like a black moon there, and you look at the method of the Atapascan method of smoking salmon, and you look at the way the tail hangs, and if you look at the pink, if you look at it's all there. It might upset some people, but what I'm saying is we're the Chicanos are the people of the salmon, related to the Chinooks, and the other people who were on the migration trails up and down from British Columbia who were pantlaching. So when they talk about pantlach up there in British Columbia, so they say pentlach, but you have to remember to say it's with a European accent. And so when we say pantlach, that's a Nahuatl word, and the tlachli is the traps. So here up on top here is, you can see the fish traps, is what I'm saying is the fish traps, which they call the balcourts, in the balcourt constellation, tlachli. But tlachli is a depression where you catch water. So tlachli is the coves up there in British Columbia. You have the coves, and where they would put the salmon traps, and would trap the salmon, during the salmon runs. So you had that, and then here, so right next to the so here, look, that's a bunch of salmon eggs. And so what I'm saying is that with all this, what we've been taught was the constellations, the Mexica constellations in the sky. I'm saying if you flip it around, this image is from the Florentine Codex, by the way. But so what we're looking at here actually is all about the salmon, and we're people of the salmon. And when you look at the story of the flayed god, and you talk about the flayed god, and skinning the princess alive, whatever, we're talking about salmon. We're talking about filleting salmon, and so right here you have right here. Here, if you look at the Virgen de Guadalupe, you'll see that these images here, what we call the eclipse. These are supposed to represent eclipses, but when you flip them the way I have them, it represents the drying and the smoking of the sockeye salmon, or the Chinook salmon, all the salmon family up there. And so then that brings us to Aztlan, the story of the Mexica return to Aztlan. So when the Mexica finally founded Tenochtitlan, and they became the rulers of all of Anahuac there, they sent a delegation back to Aztlan to let the relatives know that that they had achieved the greatness there. And the story says that the young man had trouble climbing the hill, that they kept sinking, down in the sand or something like that. But they said the old man just kept hopping up along the hill going up to Aztlan. And so we're talking about the salmon. We're talking about the salmon run, the old salmon coming back with physically changing, and having the hook beak, and being able to to go upstream and spawn. And so, real controversial. I know. I'm talking about here is, the Chicanos being people of the salmon, Mexica being people of the salmon, being Athapascan, which nobody wants to say that. But a lot of people are really looking towards Alaska and up that area for the origins of the Mexica now. But I think there's a lot of evidence up there. A lot of the Nahuatl place names. The Pantlacha people aren't there anymore. The skull that was dug up there recently had the elongation, was evidence of cradle boarding, evidence of being on the migration trail. And something that's interesting about are the Pochteca, the people that were on the migration trail, is that people were born and people died along the migration trail, just like the monarch butterflies. You know, just generations were traveling, and you knew where you had to be at. You knew how many days you could stay at each spot because you knew when you had to get to the next, tianguis. You knew where you had to be at. You knew what the trade routes were. You knew where everybody was doing their trade routes. So, a little bit about that. So Aztlan, we're looking up British Columbia. We're looking at our family with the Chinooks. We're looking at our family up there with the Heiltsuk, who have the stories. And so here's another part of the story with the Hohokam down in the Southwest. They built these huge canals all the way from Phoenix down to southern Arizona, and people don't know how they made these huge canals and how they survived there in the desert. And you look at the stories coming out of British Columbia up at the Heiltsuk people, and they talk about digging down to the water, and then digging down to the source of the water, and then digging the trench out, digging the canals outwards. And that's how you would get from the north down through the desert, and pass through the desert. And so, that was what was going on there. And, a lot of conflict along the coast is what it sounds like. And possibly one of the reasons why the Mexica were taking a route through the desert, and walking instead of, going by canoe or whatever. But yeah, so that's what we're talking about here, that Chicanos, Mexica, people of the salmon, people of the Pantlach, up around what's so-called Vancouver Island, and being the place of our origins of Aztlan. And so that's what we're talking about here. And the so-called constellations are actually salmon eggs. And you flip around, you got the rack for drying salmon. You've got the what they say are the eclipses, but are the method of drying and smoking the salmon, right? So that's what I'm saying here, is that we actually are people of the salmon. The story of Quetzalcoatl very much could be a story of salmon returning, because if you look at the story of the Heiltsuk say up there, is that they released the sockeye salmon into the ocean, and the sockeye salmon returned as transformed. And that Coatlicue, the story of Coatlicue sweeping the temple, Coatlicue being the water of the earth, and the temple being the earth of our world. And the Coatlicue sweeping the temple is the tides, coming in and out. And the tide came in, and then the salmon came in. Tezcatlipoca, reflecting smoke, all that could be related to the salmon, the salmon spawning. But that's what I'm saying here. Just doing a little show here, the Chicle Show, and talking about different things. And I said, throwing a little bit out of everything out there, seeing what sticks here, and just doing the first episode, see how it goes through, and we'll check it out, see how things go. But yeah, some off the wall stuff. Everybody's talking about what Chicano means. I say Chicanos is an indigenous word. Doesn't need to be feminized or masculine. O doesn't mean masculine. It's an indigenous word. It's Chicano. It doesn't. If you want to say Chicana, fine. But to say that we have to, that there's this masculine component to it is completely false. Completely false. It's an indigenous word. It doesn't have a masculine. The O doesn't have a masculine meaning to it in indigenous, where that's all Hispanic, that's all European, foreign, um, uh, migrant stuff. It's not Chicanos. Chicano, the heart of Chicano is Chicle. Chicle is a very, very common word among, the Chicanos. Means different people who stick together like family. And so that's what we're talking about here on the Chicle Show, first episode, and we'll just see how this one goes. And we'll come back again. We're talking about Cuitlahuac. We just celebrated the Cuitlahuac Day, which I think should be a bigger day celebrated for all oppressed people, all people who dealt with enslavement, colonization should celebrate Cuitlahuac Day, and maybe that's something we could strive for the next year. And so we're talking about that again. The Tlaxcalans, they renegotiated their terms after Cortez got his butt kicked. The Tlaxcalans had a semi-autonomous rule over all their territory, plus the Chichimeca lands for about 300 years until the United States came in and took the Northern Territory. But when we're talking about the Spanish land grants, where you have this thing, well, that's Spanish land grants, that's on indigenous land or whatever. The Spanish land grants were given to indigenous people. The Tlaxcalans renegotiated with Spain after Cortez got his butt kicked, and renegotiated for a better deal out of it. And they had semi-autonomous rule, and they ruled over all of the northern territory, of New Spain at that time. So some of the things we're talking about here, talking about Chicano not being just a Mexican American or being half breeds or things like that. Chicanos, you talk to some of the people who talked about the Chicanos from way back then, and they say the Chicanos were the poorest people, meaning that they would be the people on the bottom of the social ladder, the people on the bottom of the caste, right, which would be indigenous people, right. People who still spoke native language. Maybe they didn't wear their hair long out of fear of being scalped, right? You couldn't wear long hair because you'd get scalped. Your scalp was worth money, and so you may have not have the long hair, but you're still speaking your language. You're still speaking Kali. You're still speaking Nahuatl, right? And so that's what we're saying here. Is that the Chicano, the people who were how do you say looked down at for being Chicano, the people who I get identified as Chicano were poor, were brown, were indigenous, and it's been distorted into this Mexican American. I believe that the whole deportation, the Operation Wetback, has to do with Pantlach, has to do with the salmon run, has to do with the migrations up to British Columbia to enjoy the salmon runs. All the family reuniting up there, so you'd have all these people all of a sudden would swarm up there in British Columbia, scaring all these freaking foreigners. So they start outline Pantlach. They started started these immigration laws. It's all related. It's all related because those migrations used to go from up there from Vancouver Island down to Mexico, Tenochtitlan, and then back and forth, up and down the coast. A lot of similarities. You can find similarities of the travel, manipulating time and space to travel in the Heiltsuk tradition and in the Mexica. The Dia de los Muertos, or the way we honor our dead. There's a lot of similarities all throughout the British Columbia area, all throughout Vancouver, all that area. There's huge connections with the Chinook people. We should be reestablish our connection with the Chinook people more than anybody, because the Chinook people were left out because the Chinook people were on the migration trails also. You look at the old images of the Chinook, and they had the elongated head from the cradle boarding. So just some things to think about. We're gonna go into on the Chicle Show. We're gonna go into here little interview, little break. Some Chicle here, someone who knows what it's like to be Chicle down on the but this is one of our allies and everything. And we're gonna take a little break, and then we'll come back and finish it out.
Studio 21.
Rastafari, that is how I can introduce myself. My name is General Chefari. I born in West Africa, Ivory Coast, Cote d'Ivoire in French, and so I came in United States 5 years ago. Yeah, I got invited by K-Bass Music to come promote the roots reggae in United States, and my music, it is just the root African music and the reggae coming from Jamaica mixed together give you the African roots reggae of General Chefari. Yes, sir. Music is mean to me a lot. You know, music heal me when I'm sick. Music heal me when I'm sad. Music take me to fly like a bird. You know, music is actually my guide. First song I learned, strange thing is my first song I learned, I didn't release my first song until I got here in the United States. My first song I learned was Jah is Love. Jah is love, Selassie is love, my God is love. You can't look at people as a color. You can't look at people as a religion. No matter what, one human race. No matter what, one human being. Rastafari. That was my first song I learned on the street because I was homeless at one point. You know, didn't have anyone, any support. So sometimes when I feel sad, alone, you know, I was singing this song to give myself a hope. And today, you know, that song helped me, and I just strengthened, like I say, that song I just released a couple months ago. That was my first song. I'm at my third album now. I released my first album in Ivory Coast in 2008, and that was 9 songs I released on that album. And also I released my second album in 2012 with 12 songs, and just now released Jah is Love, the song I just sang for you. And that was my first song actually I learned on the street in Ivory Coast, in the ghetto, when I was by myself. You know, God was my guidance. Yeah, man. Yeah, man, give thanks. I, man, General Chefari, roots reggae from the Ivory Coast. Stay blessed. Thank you, my brother, for having me on your show. Yeah, man.
Studio 21.
All right, so now we're back. Hopefully this is going through. So that's General Chefari, who knows what it's like to be Chicle, knows what it's like to be homeless, knows what it's like to you know, have to stick with whoever you can stick with, man, whether they're family or not. You know, that's what it means to be Chicle. That's what we're talking about here on this show. You know, episode 1. So you know, we'll come back. We'll talk about some more stuff. But you know, so again, to recap, you know, Cuitlahuac Day. You know, we just celebrated that. You know, it should be a bigger holiday. Should be you know, should be a bigger holiday. And then we, you know, talked about the Tlaxcalans. They, you know, renegotiated. They had semi-autonomous rule. We need to take all that into account when we start talking about, you know, what the, you know, Spanish land grants and things like that, and territories and chichimecas and, you know, who's who. And then, you know, again, Chicano, the heart of Chicano is Chicle. It's not an uncommon word. It's not an uncommon saying. It's a very common word. Chicle, at the heart of Mexica is Chicle. You know, this is, you know, Chicano comes from Mexicano. Yeah, Mexicano comes from Chicle. Mexica comes from Chicle. So that's what we're talking about here a little bit. Oh, so we're over here now. And so, yeah, so what we're doing now is, if you want to help us out, so, you know, we've got these buckles here that we're you know, these ones are not, we got the old English style, and you got the back where you can make an inscription, and then we've got the block letter style here, where these ones you can't make an inscription, but they got the block letter. So we got the two different styles of the Old English and the block letters. And so right now, really, the only ones we don't have any A's, we don't have any J's, we don't have any M's, and we don't have any R's or Z's. We have everything else. We've got B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, K, L, M, N, O, P, or no M's, sorry. Q's, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y. We got them all. You want to help us out, make a donation, you just message me. I'll get you hooked up with these. These are from the 90s. These are left over from the 90s. We won't get any more again. We've got a bunch of them left over. But yeah, these are vintage. We won't be getting any more. Once they're out, they're out. And if you want to help us out, make a donation. Again, if you made a donation already, thank you very much. We appreciate Tlaxcala. If you want to make a donation, you go to the website aztlantimes.net, and there's a link there to make the donation there. If you want to join our social media there, you can go take the link there to join the tribe. You can join our social media platform that we have there on the Aztlan Times Network. Again, this is the Chicle Show, first episode. We're just throwing everything out there, see what sticks. So we can spark some stuff. People are talking about different things right now, talking about alphabet soup and, I don't know. Really don't know what's going on out there. But it really looks like we're really going deep into the reeds, deep into the woods, getting off track. And there's purity contest. Damn near cult-like. It's almost like damn cult. These levels of attainment, these purity tests, but it's insane. But yeah, if you want to help us out, if you want to make a donation, you go to the website aztlantimes.net. You can make a donation there, or if you want a buckle, we can get you a buckle, and just message. There's the email address there. You can message, and we'll hook you up with some information if you want to get some buckles. Again, we've got pretty much everything, all the different letters except for A, J, M, and R and Z. We have everything else. And again, this is Chicle on the Aztlan Times Network. This is the Chicle Show, episode one. Sorry. So we've got different cameras going, and we're talking about different things. We'll bring up some different subjects, some controversial subjects, some things people don't want to talk about, and things that I've been wanting to get off my chest or whatever. And yeah, so again, we've been doing this for let's see. So we've been doing this since August. We've been live streaming since August, and a lot of hiccups, still a learning curve, and we're getting the hang of it, and we're having fun doing it, and bringing some more information. We're gonna be having some more different podcasts and things coming up soon. We've got a lot of things online here. Hopefully you like that interview with General Chefare, courtesy of Vision Independent Productions and Veinte Angel, Mexican-owned production company. So, we're just supporting that out here. Hip-hop, we were playing the Studio 21 DVD, and so you can see that. We'll probably replay that again here pretty soon. And we got a lot more Studio 21 interviews that are going to be coming up. Different people that were in different interviews, different musicians and things like that. And it'll be pretty cool. So again, we just knocked this one out, and we will, I guess, call it quits there, call it a night, and we'll be kicking these out again. We'll stay tuned for episode number 2 of the Chicle Show. Al rato, like it says, remember to keep lucha.